Okay. Mute, mute. All right, Susan Michelle, this mic is all yours.
Hi, this is Susan Michel. I'm here in Western Massachusetts. It is great to be here as always. I am the author of Surrender to Joy, From Suicide to Serenity. I teach the transformational truth of A Course in Miracles, which we are all here to study, to learn, to teach, to embody the truth of. And it is not the only clear path to heaven, but it is definitely one very clear path to peace, love, joy, and happiness. And I am so grateful that it is my path. So I see a few people in the room, and if anyone would like to share, Regis, Cindy, Dove, Lynn, or anyone else that comes in, feel free to raise your hand. I love to learn from other Course in Miracles teachers and students. And I will start out with the introduction of my book to get my juices flowing. What I write in my introduction is my passion is God. God is love and joy and beauty. I need to breathe as I recite these words because it is a very beautiful paragraph here. God is love and joy and beauty. He is all that is good in the world. Everything else is our own miscreation. When we are filled with joy, we are connected to God. When we are not joyful, we have lost our connection to all that is real. This is my message. It can be clarified with three simple words: surrender to joy. There is nothing to find. All we need to do is surrender. And I downloaded that paragraph about 8 years ago, and I realized that God's will for me is perfect happiness when I slow down, when I breathe, when I realize that God has my back, that all I need to do to feel the joy that belongs to me in truth is to breathe it in and remember who I am, acknowledge the fact that I am already home, realize that I am home in heaven right here, right now, having a dream. And sometimes that dream is fun, and sometimes that dream turns into a nightmare, and the universe is teaching me lessons that my soul needs to learn. But nevertheless, whether I'm enjoying my experience on earth or not so much, my reality is peace, love, joy, and happiness. My reality is I am already home. My reality is I am safe at home with God in heaven right here, right now, like uh, the Wizard of Oz and Dorothy. She appeared to be traveling through Oz with the Scarecrow, the Tin Man, and the Cowardly Lion, searching for the wizard, and trying to escape the Wicked Witch. And that's what made the movie enjoyable to watch. But the truth was, she was really at home with Auntie Em, safely sleeping with her beloved family as she was having this dream. And the same is true with us. We are safe. We are with God right here, right now, and He always has our back. And all we need to do is surrender our will with a small w to his will with a capital W and allow him to guide our lives and direct our days. So today is the 124th day of 2024. And today's lesson is Let Me Remember I Am One with God. It's a very powerful lesson. And I will say what I always say about the lessons: when we truly embody any of these lessons into our being, we basically have passed the course. We basically are digesting, are embodying the truth of the course. Like when we really fully comprehend and embody any lesson or any paragraph, it's that feeling of unabounding joy that is just ingrained into our psyche, and it's so beautiful. It's such a beautiful state of mind to reside in. And the first paragraph here of lesson 124th says, today we will again give thanks for our identity in God. A Course in Miracles says over and over again that the three fastest ways to get into heaven is gratitude, forgiveness, and I believe acceptance. Forgiveness is talked about over and over and over and over. Complete and total forgiveness is our way into heaven. Gratitude, being grateful for everything that we think we're searching for in the external world, exists within us. So just be grateful that God gave us everything when we are born. We have no lack in us. When we see one of our brothers and we think that we need something from them, when we think we need something from the world to be complete, we are mistaken, because we have everything that we need, that we could ever desire within us. And when we were born, God gave everyone everything. So whatever I think I'm looking for in the world, I have within me. And acceptance, I mean, acceptance is accepting everything in our life exactly as it is, because the opposite of acceptance is resisting, and resistance comes from the ego. Acceptance is of the Holy Spirit, resistance is of the ego. So the three easiest ways and fastest ways, and three of the most simple tactics I don't know if I like that word tactics, but three of the most simple ways to get into heaven are gratitude, forgiveness, and acceptance. And then Jesus writes here, our home is safe, protection guaranteed in all we do, power and strength available to us in all our undertaking. We can fail in nothing. Everything we touch takes on a shining light that blesses and that heals. At one with God and with the universe, we go our way rejoicing with the thought that God himself goes everywhere with us. So no matter where I am, God is with me, and I have no need to worry. I have no need to fear. And actually, if I choose to worry or I choose to fear, I'm blocking God's love. I'm connecting to my ego. And that is not what God wants me to do. And that's not what I want to do. I want to be able to trust as often as possible that God has everything under control. I believe that we all have lessons to learn in this lifetime. I believe that our soul came down on this earthly plane, to learn certain lessons. The lessons are all about unconditional love. So the uh the GPS, the God's plan for salvation, the GPS. We have our destination, we have where we are right now. And the truth is, even if we sometimes take a wrong turn, the GPS, our inner guidance system, is going to recalibrate, and we are still going to end up in the destination that God and our soul have planned for us. I believe, anyway, because I know sometimes I make mistakes along the way, and to just know that the outcome is assured, even if sometimes I make a wrong turn or two, is it's very peace provoking. It's very it's a very empowering fact for me to believe and to realize that I can't fuck it all up. Even if I make a mistake here or I make a mistake there, God's got my back. And ultimately, I will land in the destination that my soul has planned for myself. So I think that anxiety occurs when we do not acknowledge our complete dependence on God. That's what happens for me. Anxiety occurs when I do not acknowledge my complete dependence on God. And again, I was listening to Course in Miracles on Audible while I was walking on the treadmill at the gym. And I was listening to chapter 1, Roman numeral 5, Wholeness in Spirit. And what Jesus writes here is he writes, "Except ye become as little children," means that unless you fully recognize your complete dependence on God, you cannot know the real power of the Son in his true relationship with the Father. So, except ye become as little children. That's a very powerful phrase, because what Jesus is saying is that we need to open our hearts and trust God and the Holy Spirit totally and completely, and surrender our day, surrender our life, surrender all circumstances to him, and know that when we do, everything is going to turn out perfectly, because God's will for me is perfect happiness. I mean, think about a child. Think about when you were a child, and think about all the innocence that you had in your heart. When you look at a child and you look at the child's innocence, and you look at the child who trusts her parents, I mean, it's a beautiful state of mind to reside in. So God wants us to become as little children and completely trust in him. So my lesson of the week, I had a lesson of the week, which I am going to try to relate completely to the Course in Miracles. I have a part-time job at a nursing home, and it is not giving me peace. I mean, that's not to say that it's all bad, But that is to say that there have been a lot of fear-based interactions that have happened when I have been working there. And it came to a head on Tuesday of this week. My direct supervisor, or so she calls herself. I hate to even, well, but she is. She is my supervisor. She decided that I made a poor decision in a shift that I had over the weekend. So she proceeds to call me into a closed office and write out a warning for me. I think she chose this closed office away from everything because she probably knew that I wouldn't react so well. And when I'm offended, I don't do anything, but sometimes I can raise my voice. And I think she expected me to. And I did. I raised my voice, telling her that this warning is completely nonsensical and it makes no sense. And in her mind, it made complete sense. I don't even know if I have to go into what it was about, but it was a warning that in my mind made no sense, but in her mind it did. And I was so triggered. It was something that happened inside me that I was very, very triggered. I was very, very offended by this warning. And I refused to sign this piece of paper that was, again, nonsensical. And I have been very diligent about doing my lessons of the day. And what was kind of interesting is when I was written the warning and I got so very angry, the lesson of the day that I was, repeating in my mind was lesson 121. Forgiveness is the key to happiness, and I was so angry at my supervisor. And then, the hour mark hit and the little ding went off in my mind. And I realized my lesson of the day was forgiveness is the key to happiness. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, how am I going to forgive her? Because I'm so angry, and then, I came up with a 4P process when we get triggered. And the 4P process starts with pause, which, did I succeed in pausing? I don't know. And then the second P is own the pain. I think I definitely own that pain. The third P is process the pain. And the fourth P is pray. I did pray. I will say that right now. I went out to my car and I called my husband to talk it through. That's how I process. And before I went back into the nursing home, I did pray and I gave it to God. And I asked him to use this trigger that came up for me for healing purposes. Because again, Eleanor Roosevelt once said, no one can make us feel anything at all without our consent. And that's very Course in Miracles. That's very psychologically astute. She didn't have the capacity to make me feel any way at all unless there was something within me that had not yet been healed. Obviously, there was something in me that had not yet been healed. Ooh, and Cindy's raising her hand. Cindy, I would love to hear your share. Are you there, Cindy? I see your hand raised. If you could unmute yourself, I'd love to hear any thoughts that you might have on my little story. Okay. I will go on with my story then. I see a hand, I see Cindy, but maybe she is not there. So, I prayed and I went back into
Okay,
the.
I'm muted. I'm sorry, Susan
Oh,
Michel.
okay.
I'm sorry. I couldn't find my mute.
Oh,
I'm there. So, um, I really am proud of you that you can so quickly process. Because when I'm angry, I am in it, and I'm, learning a little more quickly to notice it and ask for some kind of relief. But um, I've been going through some stuff with a neighbor here. I'm in a senior housing, so our apartments and everybody's old and pretty much don't have a life anymore. So they all they want something, and they get into other people's business that they shouldn't. But I felt totally targeted and attacked by my neighbor, and I really I hated her. I mean, she really had it was ruining my life. And I got tired finally after a few weeks of being so, hateful. And I finally just gave it over to God and practiced seeing her innocence. And, even though I didn't have to say anything to her, whatever, but I just want to say anyway. So I forgave her, forgave myself for judging her. And I was not really acknowledging her when we would, see each other. I just really couldn't. So yesterday when I was leaving the parking lot, she was standing out there smoking, and I just went, let me see her innocence. And I meant it from the bottom of my heart. And as I passed her, I really, made a point to wave to her, and so really, oh God, I looked right at her, and that's what I saw. I just saw her eyes just, peer and just almost, wanting, for me to, have, reconnect with her. And it was just really so just such a beautiful thing because I just saw her innocence. And I'm saying this because that's never happened to me before. I've never been able to really give it over. And so those are the promises of God, that I live. So I just, I wanted to share that with you. Anyway, thank you, Sister Michelle.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful, Cindy. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you very much for sharing that, because sometimes the innocence that we see in someone after a argument or a disagreement or a clash of any kind is even more beautiful. So thank you very much for sharing that, Cindy. And so I prayed. I spoke to my husband to do some processing. And then I prayed before I went back into the nursing home. And then I proceeded to finish the afternoon staying away from my supervisor. I mean, we both decided that would be for the best. I did my thing, she did her thing, and we really didn't see each other at all that afternoon. And then I went into the processing part of my healing. I mean, I'm still healing, but because it was a pretty big trigger. And what came up for me was this memory from childhood. I remember it was Christmas, and my sister always had a lot of allergies, so we could not have a regular Christmas tree. We would always have a fake Christmas tree. But she had been seeing a doctor and taking some medication. And finally, the doctor said, you can get a regular Christmas tree, you can get a dog that sheds. Your sister should be no longer like allergic to a regular Christmas tree. So I was so excited. And I was about 19 years old. And I went out and I bought a regular Christmas tree. I put the tree on the roof of my car, tied the rope, and I was so excited to bring it home to the family as a present, And I ran in to tell my parents that I had a surprise for them. and they came out. And instead of gratitude for my surprise present, my father started yelling at me. He started yelling bloody murder. He started like being condescending and demeaning and yelling, like I had done something really, really bad by buying this beautiful present. And I was very hurt because I tried so hard to do something good and he made it into something bad. I think something was going on. Looking back at it now, I think probably what happened is he thought he was the father and he should be the one bringing home the Christmas tree, not his daughter. I was trying to uh, up him, be better than him, or something like this. I don't even know if analyzation does it any good, but something was going on within my father, and he projected his fear onto me, and that's kind of what came up for me in the processing period. Like that was the pain point, or one of the pain points within me that needed to be healed, because the pain point had to do with criticism. It had to do with being demeaned. And, I sat with it. Um, and I think the way out of the fear is forgiveness, of course. After I identify and acknowledge whatever needs to be healed, the way out of the pain is forgiveness. I mean, God's will for me is perfect happiness. And the way to uh, get in touch with that joy that resides within me is by forgiveness. But again, part of the journey here on earth is allowing the darkness to come to the light. And once we allow the darkness to come to the light, we will reconnect with the joy on the other side. At least that's how my life's journey has been. I mean, in chapter 1, and this is a paragraph that I've read numerous times, the escape from darkness, Jesus writes, the escape from darkness involves 2 stages. First, the recognition that darkness cannot hide. This step usually entails fear. Second, the recognition that there is nothing you want to hide, even if you could. This step brings escape from fear. When you have become willing to hide nothing, you will not only be willing to enter into communion, but will also understand peace and joy. So I do believe that when we do get triggered in life, it is because there is something within us that needs to come to the surface in order for healing to occur. So I can see that my supervisor was not intending to trigger me or to hurt me. I mean, she had her own point of view about the warning. But what ended up happening is I got triggered, and that was my pain point coming to the surface for healing to occur. And then to continue a little here, I have really been deciding if I want to stay in this nursing home, which hasn't been all bad, but there have been quite a few lessons that my soul has learned while I've been employed there. And being that God's will for me is perfect happiness, I don't really think that there is more learning for me to there is more lessons for me to learn. That would be a better way to phrase it. I don't think there are many more lessons for me to learn because I'm just not happy there. I'm just not happy there. And then what happened was I had a training session yesterday morning with a personal trainer, and in between sets, we were kind of talking about the lesson of the week, and she was giving me a feedback. So her feedback, so not only is she my personal trainer, she was like doing a little therapy work here with me. We all need people to bounce ideas off of. And then after the training session, I drove from the gym to the reservoir. I was going for a run, and I was going around a turn on the highway. And what happened was the right side of my car hit the left side of a tractor trailer. So I was going around a turn, listening to A Course in Miracles lesson, by the way, which is kind of interesting. I was going around a turn, and the right side of my car, the passenger side, hit the left side of a tractor trailer, and it startled me. And then I proceeded to drive to the first place that was safe for me to park on the highway. And I put on my lights, and I looked ahead to see if the tractor trailer was going to stop, but he did not stop. He continued to drive. And thinking about it now, he might have not even known that we collided, because it was such a huge tractor trailer, and I didn't hit the front of his tractor trailer. I hit the back, so he might have not even noticed that he hit anybody. But I parked the car, and my hazard lights were on, and I was obviously shaken up. I walked around the car, I looked at the passenger side, and there was no mirror. The right side of the car, there was like a scratch in the middle. There was a little bit of a dent in the front of the car. It wasn't horrible, but it definitely wasn't good. So, I called my husband. He told me to come home. He does insurance. That's what he does for a living. So then I did what I needed to do. I went to the police station to get a police report. Then I went to the insurance agency to tell them that I was submitting a claim. So I did what I had to do in order to get the situation rectified. Right now, I have a car with with a dent on the right side and no mirror. So it is what it is. And then the way my mind works is I'm always searching for deeper meanings in things. And I really think it was, again, for me, there's no way of proving that I'm right about this, but I really think it was the universe just kind of giving me a nudge and letting me know that it's probably time for me to move on from this nursing home. That's what it meant for me. I can't prove that I'm right about that. I mean, I guess everybody at times has probably gotten to an accident of some sort. But I guess the way my mind works is I always am looking for deeper meanings. So I think it's time for me to give my notice and start learning more from joyful experiences and less from experiences that are based on fear. Because again, even though there have been times of joy while I've been working at this nursing home, I've been there about 1 year and 4 months, there have been a lot of challenging times. And I think it's my time to move on. A Course in Miracles is and nobody else could really tell me if that's the right decision. It's a decision based on, I guess, listening to my inner guidance system as much as possible. But I do feel good about the decision. I do feel very good about the decision. I think that's what the Holy Spirit is guiding me to do right now, and I think it's good. So, Course in Miracles tells us that we can learn through joy or we can learn through pain. We're going to learn, but I think my prayer from this point onwards, I mean, obviously this is not going to be the last painful episode or the last painful chapter in my life, but I'd like to learn more through joy and less through pain. So on that note, thank you for being here with me today. And thank you, Cindy, for sharing your story, because your story is so beautiful. When we
Oh,
can
thanks.
see,
I learned a lot from you today.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you've been around here for a long time, huh? For years ago, I remember, right? In Course of Miracle in the gathering.
I
Didn't you
think so.
teach me?
I think
Yeah,
it's been 10 years. I kind of lost count, but I believe it
I
has.
that was before the videos. So, and you, I always imagined you. You said you were a model, so I had a vision of you in my mind as being very tall and very beautiful. But anyway,
Thank you, Cindy.
so yeah, thanks.
And
Because
she is
when
tall and
we,
beautiful.
thank you, Lynn. When we to recap Cindy's story a little bit, which is so beautiful, to see the innocence in anyone is an amazing experience, but especially when we can see the innocence in someone that we have held a grievance against. That is a very healing place to connect to. you know um I guess at the nursing home over the weekend, there was a nurse that I had a big argument with, like a huge argument with. And then when I saw her a few months later, it's like we were old friends. I saw her beauty, and it's very joyful and healing and empowering to see the innocence in someone that we have held a grievance towards in the past. So beautiful story, Cindy.
Yeah, it really proved to me that I am the home of love. I am. It's I'm getting just confirmation where before I really didn't believe it, and it just really takes that willingness to trust and believe and really want to learn what he's teaching us, and then putting it to practice. And so that's a big one for me to realize, wow, it is inside me. I am love. I can see the innocence. So yeah, it was a big one for me. So thanks for letting me share.
And as A Course in Miracles says, nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. And what that means is the only thing that's real is the love. And just to remember that, acknowledge that, embody that as often as possible is so empowering. So I love you all. Thank you for being here with me today. And I will now return the microphone to Lynn. Thank you.
And thank you once again, Susan Michelle. A wonderful sharing, and I'm grateful for you. And whatever decision you make, it will be the right one.
Thank
Love
you,
you.
Lynn.